Hello everyone, welcome to another video. It is Francesco here. I hope everyone is doing very well. Now you're probably wondering, this title looks super clickbaity, and you are right. The 20-minute dissertation does sound quite weird. And I just want to be clear on this is not clickbait. This is something that I was able to experiment with my final year of university and was able to apply. So if you're a student and you will find this valuable for your final year or a project you're working on, maybe it's a long bit of coursework, this can all be applied to that. So I wanted to give you some actionable advice about how you can do 20 minutes of your dissertation a day and not go over that time necessarily. So just before we start, just to let you know, in the description there will be a PDF overviewing everything, all the information of this, so that will give you some additional value. You can save it for later or anything like that, share it with a friend, and it will help you to apply these concepts. So let's get started. So what was my dissertation? My dissertation title was called Do Coffee Shops Use Loyalty Schemes? And if so, does the customer retention improve or reduce because of this? Now I'll include the full title. I think it's actually slightly different from that. It was an 8,000 word research piece, so I had between, I believe it was November time to May time to complete that. Now what I did is I sort of did all the research and things like that separately, and obviously did the 8,000 word piece, and I finished that in 90 days collectively. So I want to explain how I was able to do that and sort of demonstrate how I was able to limit myself 20 minutes a day. Now just to be clear, I studied business at Plymouth University, a 4-year course within industrial placement, so I did 2 years a placement and a final year where I did my dissertation. My dissertation was in business, so again a very generalized topic, not a niche specific subject. So just mentioning that at the end, that you might have to enlarge certain areas of this just to improve and improve your chances of effectively doing it. So my rules were, over the 90 days that I set myself to do this bit of work, I believe it was during February and February all the way to April time. That was the time I had to do my dissertation. I limited myself between those times to 90 minutes a day at the limit. I wouldn't do any more or any less. Of course, there were some slight differences outside of that. I had to do the research, which was the only bottleneck in this experience. I used quantitative research, so I went around and surveyed people in coffee shops, but this didn't really take a huge amount of time, which I will explain in the end. So how to get started? What you need to do is take a 20-minute block of time. Take that 20 minutes and find it. For me, it was between 7:30 and 7:50 in the morning, AM. And this was, the reason was this, because I woke up at 7 until 7:30 and I would do all of my meditation, things like that. And between 7:30 and 7:50 I would do my work. And then during the daytime from 8 till 5 I would do my freelancing work, where I worked full time on other projects and with clients. So I was basically introduced this process because it would be in dead time that I didn't actually have, and basically I created that time so that I could do my dissertation there without it affecting my daytime role. So find that bit of time and set yourself a target for each time. So if you're spreading it over 90 days, what you need to do is set yourself a target. Maybe it's 400 words per time you do it. In that 20 minutes, you need to be headphones in, focus, or whether you don't have headphones, find an open space, a relaxed space to do all that work in, and make sure you hit that word count. The goal is to make sure you hit the word count as fast as you can. If you waffle, that doesn't matter. Waffle away. Just hit the word count before you hit anything else. It doesn't matter if you have like blanks where it says, like, for example, research, and you leave a blank, then that way you can come back to it later and add that all there. Basically, the concept is, if you find a bottleneck, whether it's research or anything, save that bottleneck for later. You want to take those 20 minutes and basically just run with it. So for example, what I would do is I'd write a long piece and I'd actually just leave blanks with ideas, and I would just like add fact here, add fact there, add history information there, add fact there, and I would just keep typing, even though I wouldn't necessarily be knowing the research or the information yet. I would put alternatives and I would add all of the information at a later date. Maybe the next session would be doing some research and I would add that in next time. But that 20 minutes should be a batch period of time, whether you're writing, researching, or getting things all formatted. That should be a batched period of time to complete one sole task. So just to give you some notes as well on this, I read 2 books during, actually well before this. I used one called The 4-Hour Workweek, which integrated something called the 80-20 rule. It's called Pareto's Law. I'll include a YouTube video in the description. Basically, this helped me apply the 80-20 rule, basically giving you like a way to cut out any fat, unnecessary items and tasks to do inside of them. So that was a useful way to avoid any unnecessary things. And another book which was called Sprint, which was so valuable. Basically, it was taking a 5-day work week and basically condensing a minimal viable product. So the idea is to get your basic structure out versus get the complete beautiful thing done. Is get the structure out, build on it, build on it, build on it, versus actually making it beautiful as you go forward. So that was one of the 2 books that really did help me write this piece. So, how to get the grade with this one? Firstly, topic-wise, I chose something that was very unique. So for example, coffee shops. No one else was choosing coffee shops. The reason I chose coffee shops because I worked in them daily. I was around coffee shops. I could have access to people around me to get that data. So if you have an edge in some area, so for example, let's say you work part-time in a zoo, maybe you should do it about zoos. If your parents are both doctors and you want to do it about doctors, write about doctors because you have access to information. So what I would say is associate, if you're looking to avoid time, if you're looking to save time, associate your topic to the data that you have around you. The other thing I was doing as well was going into research papers and using the references section to find other papers. I wasn't necessarily trawling through other papers, so I would find one paper and I would just use the references to find the rest. That saved me heaps amount of time. I used RefMe to capture things quickly. I didn't, have a rapid amount. I used that tool to reduce time as well. So the first 20 to 40 day was focused on hitting word count. The 20 minutes every morning, I would try and hit the word count each time. Every time I was trying to get as many words down as possible. That was what the first 40 days would look like. And then the next 40 days, I would basically finish up the word count and basically tweak, add, research, and just keep layering this on top. And I didn't go out of those periods of time because I knew that that period of time was dedicated to that section. I know that a lot of people, what they do is they go, okay, I'm going to spend 5 hours in the library today. And they go, I'm not leaving until I do these 5 hours. Well, that's a silly, very old age concept and potentially very dangerous because you're pushing yourself to work those hours. And what you could be doing is reducing your time and forcing your time to work an intense period of proactive time. So if you're looking to do this, I recommend doing it alone. Don't go with anyone to the library because there'll be distractions. Don't necessarily spend over the time you want to on this, and stick with those 20 minutes. Remember that it's quality versus quantity. That's what a lot of people get wrong in final year. They tend to follow all of their friends with, I need to go and work solidly in the library and not get any work done. And the final 10 days of those 90 days, what I did is I used 30 minutes, so I slightly increased it by 10 minutes every morning to format it and get ready. And then I used, I think, like 20 minutes to print it in the library. So as you can imagine, that looks very complicated in a process. So I've added everything in a PDF below to sort of visualize that as a timeline and maybe even help ask yourself a few questions. There's a template in there for you to go away and apply that to your own sort of structure. Now this worked for me. I was able to do full-time freelance work and just carry on working in sort of outside of university. Now just a note here, I didn't actually attend any lectures in final year. I attended 2. I don't recommend that if you're academic and you need to attend classes. What I would tend to do is go with brief. So I met my dissertation tutor once and I used the rest of the time emailing her, and I used drafts as well, so your tutor can offer you drafts. So if you have that ability, use something like a Google Doc to share with them and get them to add comments. And even if you want to speed things up, remember bottlenecking, you don't want to have that bottleneck, so just call them up. Now, as you can imagine, I know many of you guys will have anything between 10,000 words to 20,000 words. All you'd have to do is increase the amount of this. So for example, this is just for example, let's say you have 90 days to do it, like necessarily I had to do. What you would do is instead spend the first 30 minutes of your day, that's an extra 10 minutes from what I had, and then 10 minutes in the evening, right? So you have 30 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, and you still double the amount of count. So if I was doing that, I could have hit 16,000 words, for example. And the research, again, if you want it to be topical, I based it around coffee shops. I worked and was around coffee shops every single day. So what I would do is I would go up to people and ask them a question, and I always had that access to data there because I knew they're in a coffee shop and the reasoning's there, and then I could quantify and acknowledge that in my research. So guys, again, the 20-minute dissertation is something that I sort of experiment with in my final year, something that I think works well, and something that I think you can apply to all of your university work and also even coursework. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it found value. I hope you can check out the PDF as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, I put out regular videos for students, for individuals, for professionals, and for those looking for productivity apps. There are a lot here. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to have a great day, keep productive, and I'll see you guys very soon. Cheers.